Welcome to the Microsoft 365 Business Boost Show. My name is Thurman Trotman. I'm here with my guy Nick DeCourcy. Nick, what's going on?
Gosh, hello Thurman. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I think you're pretty busy today.
I am pretty busy. We're recording this on the first day of the Microsoft MVP Summit, so I am just in between sessions right now.
All right. This is your first, correct?
This is my first.
Nice.
Depending on renewals and things like that, it might be my only. You never know.
I was gonna say first of many. You went in the other
well,
direction.
I don't want to be presumptuous, So
I do. I want to be presumptuous.
Okay, thank you. I'll take that.
All right, good deal. Listen, Nick. So I was perusing around LinkedIn like I normally do. And something caught my eye. It was a post by Marcus. I believe his last name is Macon. I probably should have looked at his profile to see if he has a pronunciation on there, but let's just say it's spelled Machon.
I would have said Machon, but
it might be
either way,
Machon,
either way. I don't know him personally.
Yeah, me either. I know him through LinkedIn. So I'll just, say that, he has a Microsoft 365 and modern digital workplace under his name. So I pay attention to the stuff that he writes because I like some of the stuff that he writes, or I should say a lot of the stuff that he writes. It's pretty interesting. So this one caught my eye. So obviously the hook, I fall for these things, even though I know it might just be so it can catch my eye. But the hook of his post was goodbye consulting, with a question mark, and then it said how deep research is changing the game. So let me read this real quick. It says, he says, I'm genuinely impressed by ChatGPT's deep research capability, which you're familiar with, right, Nick?
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Well, actually, for those that are not familiar with it, you could just go to their site and look at a video. So while it's only available to Plus members, it's just a deeper, like multi-level way to get your information back from ChatGPT. So it's what it sounds like, deep research. So he says it gives us a glimpse of how AI agents might soon independently, very important, independently plan and execute tasks. He says right now, these agents still lack access to internal organizational knowledge, memory, and tool access. But once that's bridged, things could accelerate rapidly. All right, so there's that. Then he says, an example. Deep research now gives you very, very good concrete recommendations for the implementation of SharePoint in companies at the touch of a button and in just a few minutes. Also key, he says the implementation of SharePoint in companies at the touch of a button and in just a few minutes. I probably should have asked him more specifically what he meant by that, but that's fine. I think I know what he means. A project that should not be underestimated, which is very interdisciplinary and for which you actually need years of experience as a consultant. So my guess here is you already have SharePoint at your organization, but if you pay for the Microsoft 365 suite, but in order to start to use it properly, you would consult with someone who knows about SharePoint, and they would get you from zero to hero. If you consult with them. So I have a pretty clear idea of what he's talking about. So then he says, deep research showcases. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back up. He says, does this mean consulting firms should feel threatened? Yes, particularly those relying heavily on delivering standard, knowledge-based solutions. Consultants who primarily provide general knowledge or standard insights must rethink their roles. So that's also key. Then he says, deep research showcases the future clearly. AI tools can be faster, cheaper, and often even better when it comes to general and specialized knowledge. Also key, specialized knowledge. So, and he says, while there will certainly be a transitional period, I'm convinced that demand for traditional consulting services will gradually decline. Yes, we've got some time, but it's inevitable. Consultants still have an edge here, at least for now. And he says consultancies urgently need to reflect on their business models and explore new paths. Admittedly, what exactly these new models look like is not yet clear. All right. Now, My opinion on this I'm not hard and fast in any direction, but I was extremely interested in the portion where he's like, it could implement SharePoint at the touch of a button and in just a few minutes. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how close to accurate that is. Like, what does that even... When we say implement and then we say at the touch of a button, what exactly are we talking about? Are we saying a business owner or someone at the business who can make decisions will go to an AI agent or whatever and then say, hey, listen, we heard about SharePoint and we're trying to implement it here at the organization. Can you do it for us? Can you help us? And then maybe there's a back and forth. And then, SharePoint gets stood up and you now have your intranet and you have your strategy for using the pages and you have your agent you can go back to every time you run into a bump. Like, what does that look like? You know what I mean? Because that is not that I'm saying it's not true. What I'm saying is that it's hard for me to visualize that, even though I'm like, hey, I expect AI to be doing any and everything here in the future. But any and everything, let's say like a robot, you know what I'm saying? If I have a robot in my house and I say, hey, I need you to wash my clothes. I need you to do laundry.
Thurman, we all know that you would never have a robot in your house because you'd be scared that one day it would come and kill you in your sleep. Like,
You're correct.
We all know that.
You're correct. But let's just say hypothetically. There's a robot here and I tell it to, go do the laundry. That's a task that I have taken off of my plate. I probably even trained it on how to do my laundry properly. All of this stuff, it's now gone. I have eliminated a whole entire task and all I have to do is just tell the robot to go do it. But the multi-layered, specialized knowledge that I bring to an organization when I'm talking to them about how to use SharePoint, that's hard for me to fathom. What are your thoughts here? What do you think about this? Like, where are you standing on this?
I mean, I think if you've used deep research, then it certainly adds a lot of value to the idea of how do you gather together knowledge with AI in a more effective way than just going and putting a prompt into 4.0 or something, and you get better results. You look at more data, you go to more websites, think about it longer, and you get a better result. Just in the same way that if you go and do a job where you just take the first answer that you find on Google, unless you're very lucky, then that's going to be a less optimal response than if you spend half a day reading about a topic and then come up with a response to it. So the logic is exactly the same as what we see with the human process. It's just with AI, because it's a computer, it can do vastly more data, more content it looks through quicker than we could. So you can optimize more quickly. But as a consultant, is what you're doing solely based on consuming information and then regurgitating that in some way, even if it's to do with changing the framing of that regurgitation, even if it's to do with selecting parts of that regurgitation to implement or not implement? Is that the whole job? And I don't think it is. Being a consultant is about reading the room. It's about asking the question that didn't get asked, thinking of the issue that didn't get thought of, understanding the context of the situation and implementing against that context. So is a tool like deep research going to do that for you? No. Could AI tools in the longer term do that? Then potentially. But you would be talking about giving them a lot of skills that they don't have today. And we're not reasonably seeing that that's going to be what they're doing. It's not going to happen this week or this month. I mean, it may happen in the longer term. So I think it depends on what you're doing. If all you're doing as a consultant is going out and searching the internet and giving a précis of some documents, and that's your approach to implementing stuff, then I would be concerned about your business today. It doesn't matter that AI is coming along.
I was gonna say, there's no way that that's your. If you do that and consider yourself a consultant, you either stop doing business or you're eventually about to stop doing business. There's no way. That is what value does that bring to the table?
Yeah, I think organisations use consultants for lots of different reasons. Sometimes using a consulting company is a more palatable way of doing what you've already decided to do, and just sticking an outside rubber stamp on it is a way of approaching something. I mean, that's more to do with like change programs or HR stuff and so on and so forth than it is to do with an issue like implementing SharePoint. But that idea that you get someone else who's the rubber stamping authority, well, we're downsizing this because McKinsey tells us that's the right thing to do, probably sounds a little bit different than we're downsizing this because ChatGPT tells us it's the right thing to do. Like one currently at least has some authority, and the other doesn't have the same level of authority. So I think people use consultants in lots of different ways, and there are some of those ways. Like if you are purely looking for someone who is a technical expert, but then I'm not sure that you're necessarily buying consulting at that point. You are solely buying expertise. Specific expertise where you know what it is you want, and that is valuable, but I don't think that that's the service for most consultants that is the primary thing that they're delivering to clients.
So I'm having a hard time seeing consultancy really be threatened, if you will. A good consultant, I think, sees the value in AI. So like, let's say what you do specifically at your organization, you have figured out some sweet sauce of how you do a thing, you train your employees on it, it's a whole thing. Your specialized knowledge can be accessed quickly and easily, and you have years of information. Like, this now gives you an advantage where maybe, if you are offline, your chat bot is way more powerful than someone else's chat bot at a different consultancy, because yours gives way better answers and, is just trained on you and how you do things, and maybe some team of experts that you have that you've worked with, how they do things. Now your specialized knowledge is easy to access for an end user, right? But then saying that you're threatened to the point where they don't need you anymore, that's hard for me to grasp. And again, I'm not saying that that's not a thing, it's not going to happen. I'm saying how do you eliminate the human that would have given you the consultancy? Because even after you get the consultation, you still have to do something. Like, you still have to make a move. So you're in charge of operations, and you would have reached out to me as a consultant to give you some information, but now you have an AI deep research tool that can answer all your questions. You get all your questions answered, and it tells you how to do a thing. At this point, I guess you just do the thing. Like, do you implement SharePoint on your own as the person in charge of operations and start doing things? I guess you can do that, because like, that's no different than you're a regular employee. So you're not in charge of operations, but you're a regular employee. You do some Googling, you get on YouTube, you see a video of somebody telling you how to do a thing. So then you just do that thing. You implemented the organization, but you are just a regular employee. So you're not in charge of anything. So what exactly are you implementing? How effective is it for the business? This thing is just running all over through my head, and I'm having a really hard time grasping a situation where there's no consultant, even with the amount of great information that you can get out of deep research and future AI tools.
I think you might have an agent. I mean, you may have an agent that can do a lot of these things.
You might
have an agent that can help you with certain capabilities. I mean, we're already, if you go into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you can see there's a Copilot there now to help you. And obviously, features like that, we can expect that the trajectory is that they're just going to grow, and there's going to be more help like that. But you still need people. I mean, you need people for accountability. When something goes wrong, who is it that's going to jump in to help you? Well, unless you have that vendor that you've already set up a relationship with, maybe the AI can do 90% of what you need all of the time. But that 10% where you've got a problem or something unexpected happen, if you're trying to race to get a vendor in place just at that point, then you're going to be behind the eight ball with that. So I think that there's a lot of aspects to this where humans, I mean, if Marcus, the example that you've given, has looked at this deep research and is really concerned about it from kind of a personal perspective, then I would say that all of us as humans currently offer lots of layers of stuff into everything that we do that AI can't currently achieve, whether it's deep research or something else. And we should really be looking at this from the framing of, these co-pilots. Co-pilot is there as our co-pilot. We are still the pilot. If something can make us more efficient, if we can, whenever you've done a project, like you will do a project, a SharePoint implementation, for example, like you are spending time on the technical side of things that maybe an AI tool could do for you. But there's probably other things within that project where if you had a bit more time to spend on them, to focus on that area, then you could deliver that project to a better standard than in the end you're able to because of some constraint. Every project has constraints, right? So maybe that's to do with engaging with the stakeholders who are a little bit more suspicious of the technology, or spending a bit more time on one-on-one training with executives, or something that humans need to do while you're confident that your AI assistant is helping you in the background. So AI is going to help you to reduce those constraints that you currently work in, to deliver more to your clients for a similar budget, so you're able to leverage AI to get more done. Your contract is going to be the same value, but actually what you're going to deliver is going to skyrocket for them. So you end up getting more joy out of your job day to day because you're not having to do the grunt work that's the same in every implementation or every project. You're getting more joy because you're doing the stuff that actually you can feel gives more impact. Your client is happier with you because you have delivered more impact. You're more likely to get more repeat business based on that. They're able to get more done. They're going to generate more revenue because of it. So my view is that this is a positive story, and it's about reframing this story of looking at AI as a competitor to what we do, to being an ally in doing more and doing better.
Yeah. And I remember when AI was fresh on the scene, or at least the commoditized version of it, it was making me feel like everybody was trying to do the replace thing, and I was believing it because it was like, you can make graphics, right? Like you can make graphics with AI. You don't need a graphic designer anymore. So it's like, why would you want to do that? But whatever, who cares? So now you eliminate your graphic designers, you go and make your own graphics. Cool. I feel like you with that tool is one thing. A graphic designer with that tool is another thing, because that's what they're actually really good at. You know what I mean? So in a situation where you want to you want to get some graphics up out the door, take care of what you got to take care of, you can do that. You can do it with AI, where before you probably couldn't. Maybe there was something like Canva to kind of help you step through that. But with AI, you could really like put the finished product out and go there. Then there's going to be people who are born and raised in the world of AI, where they get really good at using an AI tool to generate graphics. So that's their whole world. They never started as like, I'm going to draw on a paper or whatever. Maybe they were drawing on an iPad, who knows, whatever. But the point is, they interact with AI since very young, and they want to now continue doing this is what they enjoy doing. So they can be a graphic artist, but they might be a new type, a digital graphic artist. They only have dealt with digital. Then you have the folks who do come up with a pen and paper, or these other wacky tools that people use, paintbrushes or whatever. I don't know. A really good graphics artist that's just way into art, they can also use AI. You know what I mean? And they, I think, will have an advantage. Well, they may or may not have an advantage over the person who's digital only. But the thing that they have in common is they want to do that, one, and two, they can do that, and they can do it pretty effectively. Way more than the person who's not a graphic designer, doesn't have an eye for art, but they do know how to prompt into a good picture. So how will that evolve in the future? I don't know. Like, what are we gonna, 50 years from now, someone's gonna sit around and say, all right, this is the kind of image I want to capture. Something like one of these popular images that's like a classic image from back in the days, I don't know, the Mona Lisa or something, whatever. I want that level of quality in this photo that I want to paint for this business. Go ahead and do it. Like, what will that look like? I don't know, man. I'm very confused. You know what I'm saying, about where we are headed and how this works. And that's why I was this post by Marcus, took me, it really caught my attention, because I'm like, again, it's not a no, it's just I don't know. Like, we're
just not sure.
Can't see a world without these consultants, basically.
No, and I think that the question, Thurman, is this. I think there are people out there that have systematized what they do to an extent based on readily reproducible stuff that they don't actually themselves add any value. And I do think there are services out there like that. And I do think there are services like that in the consulting realm. And if you're one of those people in a role where you're just doing and repeating, but you're not actually adding any value, you're not adding any human value in what you're doing, then you should be very concerned by AI. I think that's the scenario that, and maybe there's an advantage to people like us that have small businesses where we're going in and we're bending what we do and customizing to the needs of our clients, versus very big businesses that are doing the same, where for a large sum of money you get something that is readily repeatable. You get a package. You don't get that custom. I think that's potentially where there's the risk. And I think all businesses right now should be thinking about, what is the special sauce that I deliver? What is the stuff that isn't in that training data set of the GPT models that is the value that I add? And if you're solid that there is value that you're adding, that you're not just taking something off the shelf and marking it up and giving it to someone, then I think AI is going to be your friend in the long term.
Yeah, you made me think about something that I never thought about before, which was like, what would I do if I didn't provide value? I didn't even think about that. Like, if I was someone that did not provide value, then yes, maybe I would probably feel threatened by everything that's happening around me. But I don't ever see myself like that. I never see a version of me that cannot provide value. Like, I'm a SharePoint guy. That's what I love. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. But if it goes away tomorrow, I still don't feel like I'm unable to provide value to a customer that would also generate revenue. Like, I don't see that as a thing. I will always provide value through the use of technology somehow, some way. So yeah, I didn't even think about that. I guess if you're out here, what is it? Snake oil? If you're out here selling snake oil, then
I think
maybe you should feel
that's exactly it, isn't it? This is an issue. I mean, that's a 200-year-old issue. Go back further than that. I mean, that's the reason for that phrasing of it, right? So I mean, we will continue to have that, and maybe AI will clean that up. But I think the thing that is important to say is, it's a good conversation to have. It's good for people to be asking these questions and thinking these things, and we shouldn't say that because people are asking these questions, they're concerned about the way they deliver services themselves. It's just they're wondering how does this have an impact? And that's a good question to ask. It's a good conversation to have, and that those questions should not reflect positively or negatively on the people who are asking them or positing answers, I think.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. All right. Well, Nick, we're actually going to get out of here today. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Appreciate your insight on this. But before we do, where can people find you, or what you got going on this week? What do you want to shout out?
I mean, I guess you just go to ChatGPT and type my name into deep research and see what it comes. Actually, probably don't do that. Yeah, to head on over to LinkedIn. I'm there every day because Thurman told me I should post on LinkedIn every day. So I'm still doing that, Thurman. So yeah, go check me out there. How about you?
Same thing. I'm on LinkedIn. But if you would like a SharePoint implementation not done by an agent, you know what I mean? Well, I don't consider myself an agent. Reach out to me. Go to, what is it? Wow, I cannot remember my which code. So you know what? The link will be in the description. I know I have a short URL for that, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, the link will be in the description. Book a call with me. Let's get you an intranet. Let's get that done.
Cool.
You know, you need that done yesterday. All right, Nick.
All right.
Everybody,
I'll see you next time.
See y'all next time. Yep.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.